Hello again, Dan from D&N Custom Creations. Got a little different today. We're going to do a little bit of machining on some aluminum. Let me turn this camera around so you can get a little better look at the drawings. We'll talk about that. All right, here's the drawings. These are aluminum. They go on top of what I understand is a gate. So they're gate caps, we'll call them. And you can see what the dimensions are. They're start out 3 by 6 in their total length. There's an undercut where it fits down inside the hollow rectangular aluminum tubing, and then the tops are turned at an angle so that they look good on top. Here's another picture that gives you the different perspective. And so obviously on the bottom left, that angle being 1/2 by 1/2, that's a 45-degree angle. But on the other side, when you do the math, that turns out to be like 26.5. What I'm going to do is just set it up with some angle blocks to be, I think I've got one that's 27, so I'll turn it to 27. These, they're not super critical. We're not holding to thousandths of an inch kind of thing. So that's what we'll do. Now we've started out with 2 by 3 aluminum bar, and I've got it here in my metal saw. This is a Red Devil metal saw, and we're going to cut this thing into about, I'm going to do 6 1/4 inch lengths, and then I'll true the sides up so that we're sitting right at 6 inches in the mill. Okay, so let me get the camera set up and we'll start to cut. Okay, let's make a cut on this and see how it works. I'm going to put a little bit of WD-40 as it goes through. Sometimes the chips will hang up in the blade teeth and be a problem. And if I sound a little muffled, I've got a face shield on, and in fact, I got earring protection on. So here we go. All right, that's it. I've got to make 4 of these, so I'm going to cut 4 of them up and then we'll move over to the mill. Okay, we've got all of our blocks now turned down to, they're within, I don't know, 4 or 5 thousandths.
First thing we're going to do is take off the bottom part of this. You can see we've got to take off 3/16 from each side and a 1/2 inch deep. This is the part that's going to go inside of the tubular pipe, so the finish isn't going to be too important. Okay, we're touch shafted onto the side, and we're going to come up to our DRO. First thing we're going to do is reset that to 0 now that we've touched off. And we will then move in 3/16 of an inch, or 0.1875. Okay, you'll notice that I'm getting ready to conventional mill instead of climb mill. If I wanted to make a really good finish, I would probably leave 10 thousandths and come back and climb mill on that way back. That 10 thousandths leaves a nice finish. But this is going inside of that tubular rectangular pipe, and so you're not going to see this finish anyway. So I just take the full pass that way. Okay, I got the first side done, getting ready to turn around and do the second side. Okay, so very similar manner. Do the ends just the way the long side is. We go repeat that on the short side. So I've done one. Here is the what it looks like. As we'll take it out and kind of look and see what we look like. So there you can see got the side done and the end done on this one. Now that we've got the bottom completed, we need to do the angles, which is a little more interesting. So here you can see that we're going to start with the one that's we calculated to be 26.5 degrees, and we're going to set it up for that. So you notice that I've got an angle block set inside, another vise set inside the original vise, and I've got it at an angle. And so underneath that, to create the correct angle, I've used 3 small angle blocks that when you sum them up, they get to 27 degrees. So what I've got is a 15 degree, see what that is, a 10 degree, and then a 2 degree. So if you sum that up, and that's your 27 degrees. All right, so here's the first pass, taking off 100 thousandths. And, the first one, because you're taking off so small, later on, I actually started taking, the first cut a couple 100 thousandths. But on this particular, this is my first run, so I went just 100 thousandths at a time. So there's what it looked like. I will continue on until we get to the point where we're getting ready for the last couple of passes. Okay, we're getting pretty close here to the last pass. You can see there's just a very little edge left before you wind up in the sharp corner. So we're going to take some passes and try and creep up on it. I'm going to probably jump ahead a couple of steps because it took me a couple passes and I'm going to have to make you just sit and watch this machine move at a creeping rate. So here we are. This is the last pass. And I'm going to try and move the camera around so you can get a little different view other than looking at the mister and not being able to see the cutting action very well. So here I'll
We'll take a look at that finish then.
Not taking off very much. Here, the chips are pretty small because I'm trying to get down to that last edge, last amount before we get that sharp edge. There we are. Real nice finish on that thing. Real happy with that. We'll deburr it a little bit and we'll be ready to turn this thing around and do the other side. See, we've got down and achieved the drawing look, that sharp corner. So we're pretty good to go. Okay, we got our block flipped over. We've made one pass already, getting ready to make the second pass, but it's the same thing that you saw on the other side, so we'll speed it up here. This is a 2x cut, and you'll see what it looks like here in just a second. Okay, so here's the first 2 sides are done. This is what it looks like. Real happy with the finish. And we'll get set up now to do the other angles, which is even a little bit more of a interesting setup. Okay, here it is. The block is put into the original vise, and we're going to have to turn the head of this mill so that we can cut that, if you remember, the angle here is 45 degrees. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to, you can see on this degree wheel, we're going to turn the head until that says 45 degrees. And for the accuracy we need, just eyeballing that's going to be good enough. So here's the process. First thing you got to do is loosen the 4 of the lock nuts so that you can get it to rotate. We'll do that if I can keep from stepping on the camera leg and cause it to get all fuzzy. Once we get that loose, there is a adjusting nut that allows you then to tilt the head of that. All right, so here it is. As you turn that, the head will rotate, and we'll just continue to turn that until the degree wheel lines up with 45 degrees, and then we will tighten those jam nuts on the front again and lock it into place at 45 degrees.
There goes something. Okay, you can see we're now set at about 45 degrees, at least close enough for what we need to be. All right, we'll make a cut, and you see I'm moving from front to back. The reason for that is if I was moving from back to front, I would actually be sort of imparting an upward motion on the block that I'm trying to cut, which would have a tendency to try and pull that out of the vice jaws. So by moving from front to back, then the rotation of the cutter is actually trying to push it down into the jaws. So I'll be making 100,000 cuts just like I did in the on the side directions, and we'll do this until I got it down to what we did like on the side. So I'll just continue to do these cuts, and we'll bring you back when we're ready to do that finished pass. Okay, we're getting ready to do the finished pass on this side. This is the second side. And you'll notice that I've put up a little plastic shield. I'm having to move this, turn the handle by hand here because I'm going in the Y direction, not the X, have no auto feed. And so those hot chips were coming down, hit me in the hand, and were not very comfortable. So I put this little plastic shield up there. And we'll continue this. This is the last pass. And once we're done, we'll pull this out and take a look at what we've got. Okay, this is done. We'll pull it out. We'll take a look. Here is one completed gate cap. Pretty expensive gate cap, if you ask me, but what the customer requested. And so this is what we've done. I think the easier way would have been to cast these things, but then you'd have to build a mold. Okay, here's the end result. There's the 4 items now ready to go to the customer. And like I say, these go on top of a gate that's made of tubular aluminum. And so, you know, in reality, if they needed a bunch of these, they probably ought to build a mold and cast them, you know, because they're solid. So they're not cheap. Even the material is not cheap. But anyway, that's the end result. And this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching.